Hey guys, coming back once again with a spoiler warning. We will be discussing a character from Demon Slayer and a character from Avatar The Last Airbender. There are major spoilers for Demon Slayer and slight spoilers for Avatar. So, go watch those and come back and give us a listen.
Yeah, we're ready.
Alright, let me put on my announcer verse.
Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you to the arena this evening. Oh, sorry.
That's
go ahead.
staying. No, that's staying in. Don't worry about it.
I
Good
want-
evening, ladies, and I hate you.
Sorry, please restart it.
Why did you all?
I will. I'm so sorry. I had to make the joke. Okay, it reminded me exactly what he was doing in the video. All right, we'll go.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Infinite Agenda. So, today we have all 6 of us here. Myself, Kyran, Sage, Steel, Ledge, Chaos, and Athena. First time we've had everyone here, and it's going to be a blast. So, Sage, take us away on the topic.
Alrighty. Today we're going to be going through a versus in between Tanjiro Kamado versus Lord Ozai from Avatar The Last Airbender. And this is during the comment, Ozai. Athena, would you introduce Tanjiro?
Sure. So Tanjiro is a character from the show Demon Slayer, and he carries a large samurai sword, black samurai sword. It can slice through virtually anything. And he also has various water breathing techniques, which we're going to go over soon. And he's able to pinpoint a opening thread, basically, which is where he can see a deadly strike onto his enemy very fast. And he has various, like I said, various other abilities, which we're about to go over shortly.
All right. Ledge, would you introduce Ozai?
Okay, so this is technically Phoenix King Ozai, even though he
Oh.
made up that title.
My mistake.
True.
This is going to be during the Sozin's Comet fight, is how we're going to gauge his strength in this fight. He is king of the Fire Nation in the show Avatar The Last Airbender. The father of Zuko and brother of Iroh.
Okay. So we're just gonna go through the skill sets a little bit. In this case, yes, what Athena said is correct, and it can cut through anything in this fight. There's nothing uncuttable. If we were going to compare him versus other people, maybe it wouldn't be, but in this case, there's nothing Ozai can do to stop it. That doesn't mean he lost. That's not the point. Well, that was the podcast. Thanks for everybody coming.
And that's it. All right, thank you for coming. Make sure you
no.
leave a comment.
So we have, on the one hand, speed is an interesting factor here. First, we need to establish, can both of them kill the other? Obviously, Tanjiro can kill him. Can Ozai kill Tanjiro?
Yes.
Easily.
For sure.
So that's when it comes
Just
down to
simply
tactics,
roast him up
speed.
like a piece of chicken.
Exactly. Maneuverability and things like that. So we're in the tuning exams arena, and Lord Ozai is fast in a sense of flight, and his turning is quick for flight, but it's not quite as fast as Tanjiro's. Tanjiro is very fast. Other than like Ozai just flying, I think he's faster.
May I add, the Ozai can do quick bursts to the side. He can shoot out of his foot,
Right.
so he can change his direction very quickly.
Yes, it's faster than you would think with the ability to fly with firebending. So that's very cool.
Have we discussed his lightning ability as well?
Yes. Ozai does have lightning, which he can emit from both hands. But although we didn't see Ozai's hit anyone, I don't think, when Azulos did hit Zuko, it did not kill him.
No, ironically, every time
he was
brought
trying
out the
to
lightning
absorb
strike, it's either been
Zuko
blocked or
partially
redirected.
redirected it.
Yeah, he kind of absorbed
the
and
reason why
saved
he
himself
survived.
probably. So we might be actually, you know what? It would kill at least
yeah.
people in Avatar's universe because Aang was about to kill him in the show, obviously.
Yeah.
So Tanjiro is a tough person with a very hard head, but that won't help you. Now, my problem here is, what is preventing Ozai from essentially flying up and either blasting him with those humongous flame blasts and incinerating him, and or lightning striking him.
Well,
Well,
the
yeah,
There
go
are
ahead.
walls, and Tanjiro's very fast,
He can use
smart,
water to
and
redirect the lightning.
oh wait,
To
water.
absorb it.
It's a
I didn't think
conductor.
about that.
No, perfectly pure water actually is an absorbent. It can stop electricity. So
Okay.
it depends on the purity of the water of his strikes. If he is able to get it to absolute pure, electricity won't pass through it. It won't even be channeled along it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
hard
I
to
was
tell if
thinking-
it would be or not because the water's created as a byproduct of his martial technique.
All right.
Magic
I
water.
was
don't know.
thinking more on the lines of he could redirect the lightning into the ground where it couldn't hurt anything.
And to be honest, he can almost if the lightning's acting realistic, which it doesn't really in the show, he could just put his sword into the ground and it would just go to the sword and not go to him.
True.
I know it
Or
kind of
lightning rod.
goes, yeah. So almost, I don't know how realistic we want to be on that factor.
Well, have we
but
ever
we-
seen a fire wielder move their fire once it has been released from their body?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm trying to
Do you
visualize it.
remember in Avatar: The Last Airbender, the first time he sought out a firebending teacher, he went to that festival, and there was a
Yes.
firebender who made a dragon that he controlled after it left his body.
Mhm.
He used a lasso of other fire to like
Oh
wrangle it
yeah.
around. But he was still you can still
Because
sort of
I rarely
control
see fire be twisted around and redirected on a new path. I usually see it just go straight out in one direction.
Most
A little
people
bit in
combat
Korra
don't go
in
for
Pro
that
Bending.
type of like fine control. Most of them go for more
Larger attacks, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, most
larger, more powerful
firebenders are-
attacks.
Our
That one was
area of
artistic.
effect.
Okay, so we'll go realistic with it. Let's say lightning. Tanjiro would kind of see it coming. There is build up to it, and I think he's smart enough, definitely, to not get hit by it with either planting a sword or whatever.
Well,
Hmm.
the opening thread ability there would come in quite handy, would it
Mhm.
not? Because he'd be able to a certain
If-
extent, predict the first move Ozai would make.
Right.
Okay.
If there was an opening hit, though, is the question.
You think firebending
Yeah.
would interfere with it?
No, I think the threat is specifically for ending the fight, and I'm not sure how defensive it would be.
Yeah.
That's what
Well,
I was
thing-
thinking.
Something I was
my
thinking.
thing
Go
with-
ahead.
My thing with Tanjiro is what is the main thing that connects him with the guy that trained him? It's his ability to smell. So fighting a firebender, he would be able to smell the buildup of static electricity, or he'd be able to
Yeah,
smell
actually,
'Cause you can smell
100%.
lightning.
different
even without a
flame
nose like
coming
that.
his way. So he would be able to anticipate it to a certain extent. Now the opening thread would allow him to end the fight with the opening thread.
Yes. Yeah.
But his sense of smell and his fast reflexes are what would allow him to have a decided edge on dodging Ozai's attacks in this fight.
So he has up to 10. We've seen Tanjiro use 10 forms of water breathing techniques, and there's 2 forms that I think that could be used defensively against Ozai's abilities. One is the 3rd form called Dance of the Rapid Current, and in this he makes long twisting motions like around all over the place, making different strikes. And I think that makes him unpredictable enough that a blast of lightning would be difficult to land. The other ability, one of the ones we see most often, is called Water Wheel. It's the 2nd form. And basically, he's encased in a either vertical or horizontal wheel of water. And because it surrounds his entire body, I think it could cut through
That'll
any
slice
flames.
through fire.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think a flame is strong enough to cut through that
So-
much water.
Not to
Yeah, I don't think
overly
so.
complicate things, but we have also seen Tanjiro do a fire technique once.
Once.
So we know he's capable of it. I mean, we've only seen Ozai use the comet once, so we can't just
True.
like. They have to both be able to use their most.
Now I have a
powerful
question
techniques.
because I actually have forgotten. But in Demon Slayer, when Tanjiro killed that one girl that actually wanted to die, what was it that propelled him like all the way that distance? Because it was a long way, and he came in flying towards her.
Okay, the reason he was flying through the air was because the bigger demon hit him with a giant
Yeah.
tree stump that he'd ripped out of the ground, and he was flying through the air.
Oh,
He smelled
unlucky.
her and saw her as he was coming in,
Okay.
and he was able to redirect himself in the air through body torque and
Yeah. But he
mean,
air
can't
density.
generate that much momentum on his own.
Okay, I had just forgotten. That's all. He can generate a lot. So the thing is, we might need to change the arena. We can keep it as this, but
Needs
if
to be more
Ozai gets
space.
too high, Tanjiro might not be able to get to him with anything. No, I was thinking more of an enclosed arena, like tuning exams preliminaries.
We could do that.
I know he catches himself with waterfall, but I don't know if he has any abilities that lets him go
To-
high.
yeah, that's the biggest problem I'm seeing with the fight.
Waterfall is the 8th form.
Which
by the way.
I think the fight will be a lot more interesting if there's actually a roof.
So
I mean, he's
how
very
long do you
athletic and
think?
resourceful, but
How long do you think Tanjiro would be able to defend from like the massive amount of fire that you see toward the beginning of the Sozin's Comet battle that basically burned down an entire
Not
forest?
long.
So like if you were in that arena that you're talking about, he would basically be able to envelop the entire arena in a matter
Yes, the tuning exams arena would be just destroyed. That's and covered
of
any
sustainable force.
and Ozai could do that for a while. He was planning on doing it across
The,
like
th-
the
the
whole
thing is,
countryside.
though, if we're in an enclosed space, like if he gets inside that one building, you can burn yourself. You can burn yourself with your own flames.
Mm-hmm.
As a
So,
firebender?
yeah.
Yes.
you're a
Yes,
little
I
bit
am.
more
Yeah, I
resistant
mean, did
to
you
it,
see
from what I can
Zuko?
tell, but not like a ton.
I mean,
I think we should definitely put it in the preliminaries arena, though.
right. Okay, so we'll change
That's
that.
Then
up.
probably
he'll
the only way that the
enclose the
fight
whole
is somewhat
area
fair.
of fire.
Well, the thing
Because
is,
he can't get too much distance on him. And
if
that's
you
the
remember,
problem.
Tanjiro's fast, and there's another form that he can use in this situation. It's the 9th form, turbulent or water splash or splashing water flow. He uses it against the drum demon,
Mhm.
and he
And
literally
that was
uses it to run over
AoE.
the walls and around the ceiling and everything.
Oh,
Yeah.
true.
Well, there was gravity
Yes,
being
but
messed with.
with how it was being messed with, he shouldn't have been able to stay on any of the walls.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like his body should have slid off. His foot shouldn't have stayed there. The water was part of what helped him stay there.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the question now is, would he be able to survive? Let's say they start at a whatever, 15 meters away, and Ozai opens up with a large fire attack, not lightning. Would Tanjiro be able to survive long enough to close the distance and deliver a finishing blow? I
Yes.
think probably,
I'd
because
say the easiest thing for him to do would be to do continuous water wheels or to use the
Dance
rapid
of the
step
Rapid,
form.
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
And he would literally be enveloping himself in water as he's moving closer to Ozai.
And there is one
So-
final form that, we have to consider.
Which one?
The 10th form, constant flux to the Dragon of Change.
There is
explain
that.
it, please.
Okay, so the way it's explained here is it's a form that gets more and more powerful with each rotation that he puts in. It technically has no ceiling when it comes to intensity, and he's used it with a
And-
broken sword.
And here's the thing, he used that with a broken sword with broken bones. If you were to take that same technique that he utilized in that situation and do it after the next training arc where he has a constant state of breathing,
Right.
Concentrated breathing,
Um,
yeah.
then he would literally be able to maintain that maneuver the entire fight.
Which means he would be protected by water, and the longer he goes on, the stronger it gets.
And the faster he would get because he's exponentially increasing his movement as he's going. Because the water is not only building up his strength, it's also pushing him forward.
Okay.
Now, if he was building that up and then the water was struck by lightning, would it conduit to Tanjiro?
See, and in that question, we have to go back to the fight where he fought the arrow demon, where the force of his water movements actually pulled the arrows out of the
Yeah.
direction they were supposed to be going in. So with the lightning, if he's using pure water, it would literally just dissipate when it hit the water. If he was not using pure water, it would depend on the speed of which he's moving away from the lightning as to whether or not it would travel towards him. It would depend on if a portion of the water is grounded, because then the electricity would go straight to the ground. And a couple of different deciding factors such as that, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay, so here's what I'm seeing. I think we need to dive in a little bit deeper of would his water protect him from the strongest Ozai blast, because it gets more intense the closer you get to Ozai. He has to close that gap, So let's assume he's basically going through the fire the whole time. Ozai can see really well. I mean, he's always, even when doing the blast towards Aang, and you shouldn't be able to see him because there's so much fire in the way, he was still able to hit him the whole time. So do you all think that his water would protect him from that intense of fire? It's not incendiary, but still.
I think we should judge the maximum level of his fire. We knew that it took him about 15 seconds to decay through about 7 inches of compressed earth.
Well, we also saw Aang use quite a large, not too large, but an equivalent amount of water to douse the fire, or to redirect it or weaken it enough that it's not that much
Aang
of a
shot
difficulty.
like compressed water.
Well, no, he
into
used water
big
from the
flames.
waterfall. So he just used regular water from the waterfall and splashed it over the
Before he
flames.
compressed it in
Before,
Avatar.
yeah.
No, and Ledge makes a
Oh.
good point. We actually have a good example of point blank that blast, and that's onto the actual rock formation Aang was hiding in.
Yeah.
Now, it was heating it up, but it
didn't
was
melt
not
it, yeah.
destroying or tearing up the rocks at all. Wasn't melting them, wasn't breaking them. So
We
I
saw them
actually
get
don't
red
think
hot,
it's
but they didn't
all
melt.
that much. I think it's more of a mass attack. I mean, it's
He
hotter than
did
normal
break
fire,
the
but
stones, but it took him a
Yeah,
second.
he did.
well,
It
he
took
actually
time.
Aang was holding them together with earthbending. Now that I think about it, and
I mean,
it's
I'm
when
pretty
Aang
sure he just
started to
hopped out.
release.
Yeah.
I said the other thing
Also,
that I wonder about is the heat intensity of Ozai's attacks versus the water of Tanjiro's defense. You have to
Yeah,
take into
exactly.
account the physics of a possible steam implosion based off of the two
Mhm.
temperature differentials. And in an enclosed space such as the prelim arena,
Mhm.
both of them would be completely destroyed. There would be nothing left of them
Yeah, it'd
if
be
that steam
bad.
implosion was in
Fry
the
their skin.
enclosed.
And
Yeah.
Ozai is more tolerant to it, but yeah, it's bad. So
Well, but the toughness level of characters in Demon Slayer is higher than in Avatar.
true, but
It's not as high as Naruto, but it's higher than.
no, I know, but because Ozai is specifically tough to fire, is what I was saying.
Well,
Hmm.
I know, but when you factor in the general toughness of the
No,
Demon
yeah, it's
Slayer
just pretty
universe,
much
they're
normal
probably
for
about the
Avatar.
same.
Okay, yeah.
in the fight with Ozai, the Aang had compressed water that he shot 3 streams into 3 like giant missiles of fire, and then he expanded his water after the streams were in there, and it dissipated all the flames.
Yeah. So was it compressed water or just water?
It
I
was
think it was
compressed.
compressed.
Yeah.
It
Then
was
that's
definitely
that
compressed.
So
makes
it
the
took
Water
fire
is
was
technically
stronger.
incompressible, so that's insane.
Yes. He did
Avatar: The
compress
Last
it.
Airbender universe, we will ignore some of those rules. It did.
Or
In
we
the
could
Avatar state.
say that his strength of compressing elements goes beyond reality.
Yes.
Okay.
To be fair, people also don't reincarnate in real life, so.
Now let's talk about intelligence for a second. Ozai, I would put him kind of at standard good fighter intelligence because against Aang, he honestly did really well. Regardless of having that power, he actually fought pretty smart. Now, Tanjiro is almost forced to use more intelligence on a daily basis than someone like Ozai.
Right.
So it makes him seem smarter than Ozai. What do you guys think?
That being said, I may
Tactility?
have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Tanjiro only has like maybe well, it's like what, a year maybe of fighting experience at this
Yeah.
point.
I thought it was. Wait,
It might be less.
wasn't
His
it more?
training arc was a
Well,
little
it's
over a
2 years,
year,
right?
Oh, okay. The training arc was a year, so
Right.
maybe closer to 2.
and then his
Alright.
recovery training arc was about 3 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
So around
Somewhere
2 years.
between
maybe
one
close
and
to
2
2
years.
years. But Ozai has been fighting for basically his entire adult life. He has been fighting.
He didn't
so
really
I think
fight.
Wait,
He
yeah.
honestly got
He was
complacent.
royalty. He
Well-
didn't even go to war like Iroh did.
Okay, then that's fair.
I think the first time he
Uh,
fought outside of the palace, to be on, as far as the story tells us, is when he went out during the comet, when he had what seemed like an unstoppable advantage.
Okay,
Okay.
that's a fair
Okay.
point.
I never thought about it before. I'm not saying that to like get on.
No,
you.
no,
I,
no.
I just
that's
had
fine.
never thought about it before, so I'm having a
I
realization
didn't either.
that like
So now that I think,
the
yeah.
spoiled noble, like
Yeah, no, you're right. I was just
Maybe-
thinking about like the war with the Fire Nation, and I kind of just associated the two, I suppose.
yeah, I think he just pretty much commanded troops.
maybe that is true, but look at him in the fight. I mean, he's clearly
He's
has
obviously
experience,
combat
whether it's
training.
training or whatever,
Yeah.
but it's not a joke. I mean, he's
Yeah.
very good at flying, even though he shouldn't have ever flied. Flied?
Flown?
Flown? Wait,
Oh
Flown.
Lord.
flown
It's
before?
Yeah.
Flown.
Thank you. Flied.
Flew?
He should have never flown before that because he didn't have the power to fly before. So, and he picked it up
Good
in an
point.
instant.
But technically, Azula, his daughter,
Okay,
uses
yes,
flying at
true. So maybe he
without the
could.
Swordsman's
Yeah,
comment.
he's
He
probably the
probably
one that
taught
taught
her
her,
how to
yeah.
fly.
So
he
the
just
thing
didn't
is,
show that. We're just assuming.
what I've
Yeah.
noticed with Ozai is basically, at least in this fight, when he thinks he has the power of the comet, or when he has the power of the comet, almost any problem he faces, he pretty much tries to overcome it with sheer power.
Mhm.
He throws rocks
That's
at
what
him. He attacks it with a big fireball. He puts rock on armor and he just melts it with big fireball.
He's very much an
Yes.
offensive fighter, and all he cares about is just attacking.
But look at the halfway point. Right after that, when Aang came out in Avatar state, he was actually playing kind of smart on the run the whole time after that. Now, he played a coward move and tried to use lightning after running for a while because realizing he's just outmatched. So he's not stupid enough to keep trying. That's saying his resolve is much lower than Tanjiro. That's another thing.
True.
So he's going to run the whole time, and if
But it
he's
doesn't have a
at
whole lot of
disadvantage-
area to run because we're going to assume that,
No,
can't break the
That's
walls.
the, that's the thing. Yes, we are assuming they're indestructible. That's one thing I wanted to point out. So let's say I don't know how big the room was. It was pretty big.
It was.
Maybe like 150 feet ish, maybe 200.
Roughly. Oh,
So
by
let's say
about
200 by
150
Let's
feet?
say, let's just say
100
about
-ish,
a
yeah.
football field.
We can, but that's pretty
Just-
long.
But there
It's
was
a little
like
bit shorter and a
spectator
little bit
space.
wider than a football field. It's like
Yeah.
a square, probably like 200 feet
Yeah,
by
and then
200
the
feet.
ceiling's quite high. It is quite high, but not ridiculous. Like,
There was a
I want
second
to say
story.
around 100
That's
feet.
kind of what I was thinking, yeah.
So like 100 feet, which Tanjiro could reach with jumping off the walls easily.
Right.
All right, so he's not out of reach at any point in time. We've discussed the skills to a good degree. Now, what I see happening is, if I think about it now, and they fight simply, Tanjiro would win. But if Ozai, right off the bat, does his best moves, his best choices, which I think are using a strong fire blast and flying the opposite way as he does it, what does Tanjiro do against that? He's going to close the distance somehow because he doesn't have anything long range. That's his only option.
I think he does one of two things. I think he either does water wheel
Okay.
in a forward motion because he does use it while moving forward,
Mhm.
or he does the third form, Dance of the Rapid Current. I don't see him
yeah,
using
which
any other
is
moves.
fast.
Yeah. At that
Hmm.
point,
Yeah.
because
All right, so
Turbulent Flow or Water Splash, the ninth form, the one he uses to move around in the drum room, I don't think he would use that here because he needs something that's defensive as well as offensive.
yeah, let's make the room simple and no second story, no nothing. It's just an empty room.
Okay.
We'll do. Okay, if Ozai goes all the way to basically the roof/wall, all the way in the corner, and is attempting to blast him, I think and I'm not leaning towards either character, so I'm not trying to sound biased or anything, but I think with all the forms and the speed of Tanjiro, he can. If you compare the speed to Tanjiro and Avatar, it's kind of similar when he's at Avatar state. Now he can go real fast in the bubble, whatever, but it is kind of that general speed.
Right.
Ozai can track him, but Tanjiro has a lot of stuff up his sleeve with water, so I don't know if it'd be enough to stop him.
I don't
even
think
if he gets him some.
Ozai would retreat to the corner. He's a prideful man.
Okay.
When
That's what I was saying. If we don't do him retreating to the corner, and it's more of a they both think they'll win, whatever, Tanjiro probably has an edge. But we can discuss that though, because that was what would happen.
good.
Well, I mean, Ozai's not the type to retreat.
Mhm.
He's extremely prideful. It's one of his defining characteristics. So
Except for the time where he retreated.
Yeah.
Once when he was in fear of his life. He's not going to be in fear of his life
his one fight
against
that
this
we saw.
boy.
What I think would happen is he wouldn't get the chance to realize he's at a disadvantage. Now, it's not saying we don't do this. This would mean if we explain it and agree on it, that Tanjiro would win. But if he doesn't get the chance to realize he's at a disadvantage and he's fighting like he would fight, then Tanjiro would get in close and kill him before he can realize it. Before he can realize he needs to retreat or needs to get distance.
Right.
That's the thing. Do you guys disagree with that, or?
No, if we're talking end of series, end of season 1, Tanjiro, no, I totally agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody else have input on it? If they start standing, let's say, 40 feet from each other, and they start to attack, intent to kill on both.
Because if you think about it, if we're going with full strength Tanjiro, end of season 1, he knows, I believe anyways, that he knows the fire dance in combination with the 10th water form.
Mm-hmm.
And we see that cut through threads that are insanely strong.
Yeah.
Which means that the water is insanely dense and sharp, which means it'll cut through the flames. So if he uses that, there is absolutely no way, even without, I forgot her name. His sister.
Azula.
No, his sister.
No.
Nezuko.
Well, no,
Nezuko.
Nezuko.
Even without Nezuko's blood flame,
Yeah.
Ozai does not stand a chance, in my opinion.
Okay. Anyone else disagree with it,
I mean,
or even have something
kind
to add to that? It's
I don't
correct?
disagree, but I do have something, like, not really something to add, but
Yeah, go ahead.
I think in the fight that Ozai would start out really aggressive and not let up, like constant, like
Mhm.
big flame attacks and just like going from different areas of the thing and attacking from different angles. Is
Okay.
Tanjiro going to be able to adapt to this constant attacks? Like,
Well,
just this-
we're talking season 1 end, so he is already water breathing. He already has that technique active, so he doesn't have to activate it. So I think he would be prepared.
Okay.
Yeah, that would have been my only point, is basically how long it takes him to get one of the water forms up and running, whether it be a few seconds or whatever. But at the end of season 1, it's pretty much going to be instantaneous.
Yeah, and for us as a viewer, it's slowed down, like in slow motion, so
Right.
it really doesn't take that long.
Mhm.
The one thing, so if Ozai is going full aggression, I think his best move is probably to fly up, get some verticality, so he can kind of see him coming. If he stays on the ground, it's not going to matter. It's going to be over in a second.
Right.
Mhm.
But he probably
Alright,
would
one
get a
thing-
little bit of verticality.
The one thing I don't know about Ozai's training is his ability to adapt to new combat styles. So with Tanjiro, you have him do all of the mountain training, and then he fights the demon that can disappear into muck, and he fights
Mhm.
the one that with the arrows. So he's had a lot of opportunities
Adapting,
to
yeah.
learn adaptable combat with his particular fighting form. With Ozai, at most, he's
Mm.
fought a waterbender, an earthbender, and that's it. He's never fought an
Yeah.
airbender, and he probably
Definitely never
has
fought an
not fought
airbender.
anybody that wields a sword.
Mhm.
Honestly,
That's true.
this is just a
so-
theory. This is just a theory based off of that. My belief would be that Ozai's exposure to different combat styles would be pretty limited because, and this is just the picture I get of him as
he probably
Ozai.
fought when he
think
was
he
like
was probably-
15 to 30.
I think he was
like, those
probably
years.
mostly tutored through his combat experience. I don't
Probably.
think he had a ton of real life experience with different types of fighters. So likely the types of tutors he would have had would have been like upper crust, highbrow combat tutors who would teach him firebending suitable for a noble or a member of the royal family. That's going to be pretty rigid types of combat, mostly geared towards Agni Kai style fighting.
Also, once
Yeah.
again, his form of adapting is, oh, that's a new technique. Blast it with fire. Ooh, I haven't seen that before. Blast it with fire. Oh, that's
Yeah,
scary.
it's
Move
not
out of the way.
very
Blast it with fire.
Okay, and
Adaptability is not
to-
his strength.
to add on to
ahead.
Chaos and Steel's point with Firelord's training and adapting, at most, I think he assumed to fight the Avatar at some point. So let's say he had trained, which you can't train against an Airbender, there isn't one, but you can train trying to predict what would happen. So we see him adapt when he's at a disadvantage pretty well. It wasn't nothing you could do. He was just worse, you know. He was just going to lose the fight, period.
Some-
He adapted okay, but it wasn't great. Tanjiro has to adapt every time to such a new situation.
Right.
So, yeah, to point that out, he might have adapted well-ish to Avatar because he knew he was going against the Avatar way ahead of time.
Well, that's my issue with Ozai right there, is he knew he was going against the Avatar. He knew Zuko was on the same team as the Avatar. He was working with them. I'm pretty sure they knew that, didn't he?
Well, he doesn't know that Zuko knows how to redirect. If that's what.
Yes, he
you're getting
does, because Zuko redirected his lightning.
at.
when he
Oh, no,
confronted
you're
him.
right. You're right.
Why did he not expect that? Not even for a second. He was like, "Yep, I got him. He's dead." Wait.
It is a tough form, and you can fail like learning. I thought you
Yes,
died
but
in the
like
process,
he's fighting the Avatar. Why would he not be like, maybe?
he was.
I think
What's
it's
it called?
pride.
Backed into a corner.
He's arrogant.
He was at a loss.
No,
Like
no,
if
no.
he didn't use it, he actually waited a long time to use it.
Oh, that's what you mean. Like Avatar was backed into the corner. I thought you meant Ozai was. I'm like,
No,
no,
Ozai
he
was.
wasn't.
Because
No, he was. It was in the
on the run.
It was in This is in the first part of the fight. He switches
it
to
was.
lightning.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And he has Aang on the run.
Before Avatar State.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You're right.
It
It was
before
on
Aang
top
in
of the rocks,
Avatar
which is
state.
also where it ended. That's why I got confused there.
Right. What were you saying, Chaos?
I was gonna say the lightning was before he went into the Avatar state.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Ozai was still on the aggression.
Yes.
So it was just a boneheaded move then.
Yeah, I think this one's pretty much settled.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I would say there's a small chance, and that's if if he can't defend from the fire, which we've kind of established he should be able to. Like 95% sure he should be able to. And then Ozai, for some reason, chooses to get distance instead of close distance. That's the only way he might win. But I'm going with Tanjiro on this.
Okay. I personally would go with Tanjiro as well because of the versatility of his moveset and the power of like the 10th form and then the 10th fire form, as well as, the power of all the other forms. So, in my opinion, Tanjiro would win this fight.
I'm going to go with Tanjiro because Tanjiro can adapt to a situation. Like he adapts to such situations where he's so outclassed and he's about to die, and he does this constantly.
Right.
And he has the tools to defeat Ozai, so I think he
Yeah,
would adapt like
definitely
he
has the
always
tools.
does.
Yeah, I'd have to go with Tanjiro. He just has so many different dimensions of his fighting styles and so many different like senses he uses, like the scent and speed and everything else. I just
Yeah.
Headbutt.
one-dimensional.
What about the headbutt?
Yeah, my bad. Sorry, the headbutt. Very key character point.
I have to go with Tanjiro as well. I mean, one of the main reasons I kind of came into this believing Tanjiro would win, and I did listen with an open mind, but nothing has changed my mind. Like, we even see in I believe it's the first episode, literally the first episode, where he goes up against Tomoka Gyu.
Yep.
And he literally has no training yet. He has no sword. He has a little wood chopping axe. And he completely, like, he's very ingenuous.
Loses.
And
Yeah, that was cool.
In the snow when Gyu is about to kill Nezuko.
yeah, and he throws the axe at him and
Behind a
then comes
tree.
charging
In a
out
blind
at him.
spot.
In a blind spot.
Throws a
Comes
rock.
charging out at him with his hands behind his back like he's about to swing the axe from there. And literally almost kills him after he passes out.
Just one of the most powerful demon slayers. Just casually
I
with an
know.
axe.
I mean, I think almost killed him is a bit of a stretch.
It is.
honestly.
He could have.
But
he-
it shows
like
his
Nightfall.
tactility.
But it does show that he has a tactician's mind.
Yeah, his
Right.
combat intelligence is through the roof.
All right,
Much
Chaos?
higher
It is,
than
and
Ozai.
he was not a fighter at all. At
Even
that point.
untrained, yeah.
No. All right. Lastly, Chaos.
I would have to go with Tanjiro because of his both the smell for his ability to be able to smell incoming attacks and to intuit what's coming next. Because of his adaptability and the adaptability of all of his moves. I mean, originally the water wheel was designed to be done one way, and he improvised it to do it from horizontal to vertical. So that one was changed. So he adapted that particular maneuver. But once the fight gets started, his ability to smell the opening thread would be the deciding and finishing factor for the fight, because doesn't matter which demon he was fighting in his series, once he smelled the opening thread, they ended up losing. Even the arrow one, he managed to redirect its own energy back on itself and win that fight.
Right.
So I would have to go with Tanjiro just because he can adapt to the combat situations that he's going to end up facing fighting Ozai, whereas Ozai, I don't think will realize soon enough that he needs to adapt or he's going to lose.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So
He's inflexible.
with those votes, Tanjiro wins versus Ozai with a stunning 6-0 victory. And that's decided it, so Tanjiro is more powerful than the Avatar.
That's not what he said. Not what he said.
That would
Avatar
be- That would kind of
Ozai
be an interesting matchup, though.
It would be. You just have a lot to consider. That's all.
Oh, yeah, a lot.
Whereas Ozai's a lot simpler,
Well,
so it's
with-
easy to.
The Avatar's feats are much more broad than Ozai's, and I think it wouldn't be that interesting of a fight. There's some like
I don't know.
wonky, broken stuff with Aang.
We could do it before without Avatar State. Wonky broken
Oh.
stuff.
He
You
is
know we
kind of
talked about
OP
all
essentially at the end.
Without our state maybe.
Yeah,
with it,
I
he
don't
just
mean
compresses
final
the rocks
form
and shoots it at him, and
Avatar.
there's something.
He's dead. I don't know, because that water at
He
the
can
very
use
beginning
airbending
cuts
to move
through.
so fast you can barely
Cuts
see
through?
past the eye.
Huh?
That's
This is a
before
whole
he
other
starts
argument.
wearing, like,
I don't remember him moving that
There's
fast.
a
He could have
whole-
destroyed Ozai instantly.
This is the whole can of worms.
There's a whole nother can of worms with the Avatar series. Not to mention, you have what they call the dark bending. You have the where they take the air out of your lungs if you're an airbender and create a vacuum around your head and kill you that way. You got the
Yeah,
blood bending. the
we
water
consider
bending.
character as well, and Aang would never do that. I mean,
That's
Katara
true,
wouldn't
he
even
wouldn't.
Katara wouldn't even blood bend most of the time. Aang's not gonna suck the air out of your lungs.
Yes, but
more morally
Katara
good
did blood bend.
A lot.
Only when I
Like,
hate it. Does it?
No,
Next episode
no.
does it. Next episode
Katara
does
did
it.
Fire Lord
two or
doesn't do
three
it.
times.
3 times.
Yeah.
Doesn't
She
do it on
did
Fire
it a
Lord.
few times.
Right.
I love the. My
She's
favorite
more
thing with-
emotional.
Go ahead, Chaos.
Yeah, she is very emotional. But my favorite
Very
thing with Katara is when she literally stops the rain while bloodbending
Oh my
an
gosh.
individual, and Zuko goes,
We're gonna have to beep that one out. No, it's like it's funny. He's in the ice region. Zuko's like, "Yeah, rematch." Katara's like, "Are you an idiot? It's snowing.
sure?"
I'm a waterbender."
I saw a post once that said there are worse places to
And it's at
challenge a
night.
waterbender, but the list is very short.
Yes.
Um,
Underwater is pretty much the
Wait a
only
minute.
thing left on that list.
During the lunar or whatever, whatever full
blood
moon.
moon.
During the full moon.
During a full
Underwater during a full moon. That's about it.
the confidence level was pretty impressive in that fight, though. He really went into it very confident. Here
He
for a
did.
rematch? Like,
He's
what?
very
Not gonna
good.
be a rematch. All right, so that wraps up our latest episode 7, I think. Thank you, everybody that made it this far and watched. Leave a comment below on who you think would have won, anything you thought would have gone differently, and most importantly, any matchups or topics you'd like us to discuss in the future. So with that, thanks for watching.